Hello, 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 everyone. We're getting started a little early. Um, Hi, how are you doing? So we're going to wait a little while before we get started with the official broadcast. Today I'm debuting the full use of this. I think it's been a while. Recorded a video last week talking about this type of thing where you could scribble and write if you feel a little less comfortable to actually get on camera. You can doodle. It's a very, very good way to get on camera without getting on camera. And I suggested a couple of platforms. I'm going to be using one of them today, and we'll also be using my little Wacom tablet that I got a few years ago as a gift. So I'm excited to use it because I'm going to start doodling more, so you don't have to just stare at my face. You'll get to see some of my little stuff to try to make sure that it's all making sense. Cool. All right, so where are we at? It is officially, it's still 9:11. Let's go ahead and play with some horns. Hey everyone, my name is Teevee the Marketer. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here with you. How do you like that one? All right, we're gonna wait a little longer. What do y'all got going on these days? Feel free to drop questions in the comments. What do you have going on? What's working for you? What's not working? What questions do you have that maybe I can answer for you? Feel free to let me know. Either I answer it here on the broadcast, or I can use it as the material for a future video. In fact, this one came out of questions from my audience, and that's actually a good detail. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Also, real quick, I have my daughters here for the week, for a few days, because it's spring break. So if by chance you hear them kind of running around, that's why. Our office out of my place here in downtown, so that's the reason that you may hear them running around. All right, you ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. Welcome everyone to the Teevee Marketing Show. My name is Teevee the Marketer, and this show is focused on helping local businesses become more informed and up to date on the news and trends as it relates to digital marketing and advertising, social media marketing and advertising as well. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Google. I also share tips and tricks as well as some training. Like today, what we will be doing is a short training on a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, and it answers a question that I get a lot, and that is, how much should I be spending on advertising? I get a TV, I get it, I should be advertising, but how much? We're going to talk about that, okay? So let's see here. Let's get into it. So before I answer that question, I have to ask you a few questions. You, my viewer, pardon me. I had to ask you a few questions. And as it relates to basically how much your customers are worth to you, and what's your client value. And that's gonna obviously depend on industry by industry. So my answer to how much you should be spending in advertising is gonna vary according to you. However, we're gonna take a simplistic approach to it to get a ballpark number that you should be using to advertise, especially because it's going to involve knowing what your customer value is. So I have a little spreadsheet that I'm going to flip over to and walk you through, and so I can explain a little bit about the thought process to find out your customer value and exactly what that means. So let's go. Here we go. So what is your customer's average sale? Customer, client, patient, whatever that may be. What is their average sale? Now, I understand, and I talk to businesses, they're like, well, it's all over the map. All right, cool. But if you have to calculate, hey, I got a heart. Excuse me. If you have to calculate and really sit down and figure out what your average client value purchase might be, what would that number be? Sorry, I got two different pads. Maybe you're in a low-cost industry. You do hair, right? You do haircuts. Let's say $40 for a haircut. Or maybe if you do dude haircuts, it might be $20. Then like I'm gonna take a couple of different approaches here. So maybe it's $20. Now, that's not a lot, right? However, how many times is that guy more than likely going to come and see you over the course of the year? Hola, Tosh. Good to see you. How many times is that individual going to come get that haircut? Well, let's just say once a month, once every 2 months. Let's just say 6 times on the low end, 6 times per year. And how many years will that person be with you? And if you do a good job, they're probably going to be loyal. I know as a guy, I hate finding places to get my haircut, so I'll probably be with them for years and years and years. I literally hate looking for another place to cut my hair. There's one place I've been going to for about 3 or 4 years now. I'm loyal, so let's just say 2 years. But if it's a guy, it's probably going to be upwards of 5 to 10 years unless they move. They're not going to go anywhere else. I did move, but as a matter of fact, from my local area, but I still go to my barber because I know they can take care of me, and I don't stress about it. I'd rather drive out there. But unless they move out of state, let's just say 2 years. So the client value for that year for a person that's getting a haircut for $20, they come see you 6 times a year, and they stay for 2 years on the low end. That client value is $240, right? We know that. That's how much they're paying at least a year if they get six haircuts. I personally am closer to 12, but we're going to do 6. That's $240. So the question is this: how much are you willing to spend to get a new customer? That's the big question of the day. How much are you willing to spend? Of the $240 that this customer, this new client is worth to, say, a barbershop that we're just suggesting here in this scenario, it's $240. How much are you willing to spend to get that $240 per year? You have to know that, because then that will at least give us a ballpark number as to how much you should be spending to acquire a certain amount of customers a month. But let's continue this out. That's just that. Now, this is something that everyone should keep in mind, is how many new people are being referred to them by that customer. If you're doing a great job, they love you and they're very loyal, how many new people are they going to refer to you? Do you have a program that incentivizes them or encourages them to do that? Will they do that on their own? Maybe if you have a program, you're going to get a handful more referrals from them, right? So as it relates to haircuts or anything on that side of the spectrum in terms of cost, nails, maybe lawn care, that could be on the lower end. What is that number? How many people will they refer to you? Will they refer to you? So I say, I went too high here. I say at least a couple. Let's say two people a year. I'll refer people to my barber, for example, right? And of those 2, how many people do you close? I would assume that on the haircut, it'd probably be 100%, but let's just say 50% of those. So 1 out of 2 will actually be a new customer. All right. So now let's look at this. You have a lifetime sales over those 2 years from that one customer of 480. Once again, in the barber, it'll probably be much longer. I'm trying to be conservative. But if you combine that 480 over 2 years, and also add on to it the new clients that they add and the referrals that they give you, you're looking at $720. So that one customer that's only paying $20 is worth $720 to you. So that's lifetime value. Lifetime value of a very loyal customer that's happy with what you're doing. Okay, they're going to refer people to you, then they're going to continue to come to you. That's low end. So you can take the short-term approach of at least a year. How much are you willing to spend to get a new client over the course of 1 year? And if that person's worth $120 to you, is it $10, $20, $50? What is that number that you're comfortable spending to acquire them and ideally to keep them? And if you're taking the long-term approach, what number are you willing to, what amount are you willing to spend? I see your question, Teresa. 1 second. What amount are you willing to spend to acquire someone, knowing and taking the long-term approach that you're going to have them for life, right? And they're going to refer people to you. So that number is something to keep in mind. Now, let me look at the question. What advice do you have for a new craft business just getting started? Have an Etsy and food Facebook businesses, but no sales. Yeah, you would have to get an audience. You'd have to start advertising to let people know that you exist, that you have something. Advertise. Let's say what do you sell? Let's say you sell purses. Advertise to women that love purses. There's probably other pages and groups out there, so you'd have to advertise or join groups where where these women are already congregating. That's the simplest way. I would advertise to women in a certain area that like this type of stuff, or that have a propensity to already be engaged in this type of material, that like Etsy. Maybe Etsy itself is an interest you can target on Facebook. But it just is dependent on what you're selling and then who you would target. But ultimately for me, because this is what I do and it's my way of going about things, I would spend money to ensure that my brand and my product I'm hitting my mic, is being seen by the people that are more than likely interested in that product or service. If you just have a Facebook business and an Etsy, you kind of have, it's like having a business with no traffic. It's sit on a corner where no one comes. Awesome. Yeah, just grow your audience and maybe create content around that subject. But that's how I would encourage you. I would personally obviously go through advertising, but you have to grow that audience of people that look forward to actually consuming your content and would love to have one of your pieces from Etsy. Quick question: can you work for business where your clients? This question is from David Call. Can this work for businesses where your clients don't come back for a haircut? My business is designed where they get clients and their projects require affirmation to sign and how to get them to refer. Thank you, Teresa. I'm glad that can help. Let's see. Can this work for business? I'm trying to unpack this, David. Can this work for businesses where your clients don't come back for a haircut? My business is designed where they get clients and their projects require affirmation to sign and how to get them to refer. Yes, it works for that as well. So let's say, and that's obvious. So that's actually going to move into a situation where maybe your average clientele is $5,000. Or let's just even say $10,000 because you sell homes and you get a commission of $10,000 for selling that home. Let's just say it's $10,000. So obviously that person is not going to come back to you later that year, and they more than likely are not number of years as a customer. Let's just say 1, because more than likely they're not going to be back to you at least for another 5 or 10 years. That's just a scenario where I imagine similar to yours, they're not going to come back to you, David. They're just going to try to hire you for this one-off project. It's a big project, and then they move on. However, as far as referrals, getting the referrals, because I think that's the second part of your question, how to get them to refer. One of the easiest ways, one of the simplest ways that I tell people is to actually ask. Have a program in place to follow up with them and ask them for referrals. I know it sounds simple and dumb. It's so simple that it's crazy, but I know a lot of my clients actually struggle with that, having some type of system or someone to follow up with them and ask for a referral. We're happy, confirm that they were happy with their purchase, with their service, and then actually following up with them, like, hey, my business thrives and survives because of referrals, because of word of mouth. I would appreciate if you would please refer us. That's one. Obviously, that's going to be a little hard to actually get them to do that. But if you ask for it, they may consider you, right? I think with the very least you should do and obviously follow up with them consistently, deliver value to them so they still have some type of, maybe you have an email program where you drop stuff on them about what's going on in the industry, what you're up to. But at the very least, what you should get to help get referrals is kind of a roundabout, is to ask them to leave you a testimonial on whatever pages you're on Facebook, on Google, to ensure that their words and their experiences actually will deliver results. I use this as an example because for me, I have reviews that clients and customers left years ago who I haven't talked to in years, but their reviews are getting me more clients today because as people research what I do and they come across my material, my content, they then go check out Yelp, they go check out my reviews, and there are the reviews from people that I helped 10 years ago, 8 years ago. So although maybe they're not actively referring you, their words and their experience could still serve you to get a customer down the line with your current marketing that you may already be doing. But I would ask them to give you referrals. That's a hard one to follow up on because, you know, they're busy. They're obviously happy with what you did. But I would imagine just staying in touch with them in some way, letting them know what you're doing, so that way in case something does come up and they know someone, they will think of you, okay? And that will increase this referrals that they get. So let's say it's a real estate or yourself, and at the very least, maybe they refer you once a year, right? Hey, what happened? I think I locked up. There it is. They refer you once a year to someone, right? Or maybe twice a year, just to make these numbers play out. Maybe they do refer you once a year, twice a year, and you're able to close. And that's going to require that you stay top of mind. So having some type of marketing, the emails, maybe the Facebook, your content is out there pushing and getting in front of those individuals because you're retargeting your previous clients, staying top of mind. That will be the key. Because if you did a good job and you're promoting and you're pushing out content consistently about what you're up to, who you're helping now, you'll stay top of mind. So when someone comes across them that will be interested, that could be a possible client, they're going to think of you because clearly you've done work for them, right? So that's the long-term proposition. As the price increase, the referrals start to get harder and harder to get, as opposed to someone giving a haircut or doing nails, right? But then again, they're much more valuable referrals. So in this scenario, this person's worth $20,000 because they will at least hopefully refer a couple people to you, and one of them closes every year. But I think, and this is what you're helping me kind of contextualize, is you have to have something to stay in front of them, to let them know that you're still doing this, you're still great at it, and they keep you in mind, so they do give those referrals. So even if they don't give any referrals, let's just say zero, that person's worth $10,000 to you. Obviously, this is a higher end client that's going to cost a lot more to get them. So how much are you willing to spend of those $10,000 to close this client, right? And this here is for another day in terms of actually increasing client value and trying to get more money from the same amount of people. But let's go over to my little board. And actually, let's go back up. Let's just say, where was I before? So let's just say it's 100. Let's settle in at $100 for easy math of average sale. I'm not sure what that could be, but I know there's a handful of industries that average sale is $100. Hell, it could be a dinner date, right? At a nicer restaurant with for 3 people. It's about $100. I know that's what it is for me and my daughters. And they come 3 times a year. I'm a customer for 2 years. I'm thinking of myself right now because I'm thinking of my daughters. And I'll refer 2 people to them because I do that with restaurants. So a person in a restaurant type of environment, it's $100 average sale, $1,800 lifetime between all the referrals and my personal business over the course of those 2 years. But back to just the let's look at this $300. That business, in this case, assuming it's a restaurant, how much are you willing to spend of those $300 to acquire a new customer, for which you, outside of those high dollar financial advisors, designers, or mortgage brokers, that kind of thing, outside of those, how much are you willing to spend to get this $300? Let's just assume that you're willing to spend $50. That is your, what we call in the marketing world, the cost per acquisition, the CPA. And this number is critical because then it will dictate how much you should be spending. Now, if you do know, here's something to consider. If you know that they're worth $300 to you over the course of the year, perhaps you should be willing to spend at least $100 off that initial sale. Not saying that you should give them the $100 and say it's all for free. However, maybe you should be willing to spend $100. In fact, let's use that scenario. $100 where you break even, but you know they're going to be back because you trust your service, you trust your industry, your systems to ensure that they have a good experience and that they come back. So let's use that, okay? Which is not uncommon, and businesses that invest thoroughly on customer acquisition thrive because they know that they have the systems in place to make sure that they're profitable in the long term, because enough of them will stick around. So let's play with this. I've been wanting to play with this for a while. 1 second. There we are. Hey guys, got 4 of y'all in here. Perfect. Boom. So if you're willing to spend, willing to spend $100 to acquire a new customer. The next big question is, how many new clients can you take on? Realistically, how many can you take on? Is it 2, 3? You have to be careful here, because depending on what you do, the reality is you can't take on too many. Now, David, I'm sure you can only take on a handful at a time. Although Teresa, she's in an e-com, you're selling something in Etsy, that number doesn't really apply to you. You can take on 100, I would assume, or maybe less, depending on if you're handcrafting something. But let's just say a regular, like a chiropractor. So a chiropractor can maybe see 10 new clients, and then take care of his current clients. So 10 clients. So the simple answer to how much they should be spending is 100 times 10, $1,000. Right? And that's actually kind of close to what a chiropractor may or may not charge. So you should be spending $1,000. Now, that's the simple way to look about it. Like, you should be spending a minimum of $1,000 to get 10 new clients, and you're willing to spend $100 CPA to get that individual. Now, although you're spending $1,000, there's something else to kind of keep in mind, and that is you're not going to close every person, all 10 people that come to you. You actually need to consider what your closing rate is. So if you talk to 10 people, let me draw these little people. If you talk to 10 people, let me get rid of this. If you talk to 10 people, how many of them are you going to close? 25%? 50? Don't tell me 100. Nobody can close 100. Or, I don't know. I don't think. I've never met that person. But let's just assume that if you have 10 people in front of you, you can close 25% of them. 25. You close 25. 1 out of 4, right? So you want 10 new clients. You need to get times 4. You need to talk to 40 people. You need 40 leads. And that may be email, phone calls, messaging. You need 40 leads to be able to close 10 if you know that you're going to only close 1 out of every 4 to still hit your numbers and at $1,000. So therefore, what you need to keep in mind is, what is the cost per lead? 2, 5. So your cost per lead is $25. So as you're running your ads and you're trying to get your goal of 10 new clients, you need to generate basically 40 conversations. And if you look at that and you see that it's already creeping above $25, then you're not going to hit your $100 to acquire them. You're going to go above and beyond. Okay? Now, and more than likely that's going to be the case. All right? Now, in this scenario that I'm illustrating here, this is assuming you have a great content marketing program, you're sharing good content out there. And more than anything, is going to assume that you have a good offer. Because most people are not going to buy your service unless they're just hot to try, right? So in the chiropractor example, the fact is someone has back pain, right? Let's just say it's back pain. Who can help back pain? It could be a chiropractor, it could be yoga, medicine, surgery, a physical therapist, PT. So these are all individuals that could help that person with the back pain. And you're targeting people at the bottom of the funnel in terms of awareness that know they have a problem and they know they need to find a solution, and they just need to find someone with a good offer to put in front of them and say, hey, come in for a free eval and let me take care of you. This is what I've done for other people. This is what I've done with previous clients. Right, I'm trying to write the word testimonials. It's not working. Testimonials. But you have to give an offer. So the only way that you're going to hit these types of numbers is if you have a great offer. And it's important, it's critical that you have that, or else these numbers you won't ever hit them. And you have to target and market to people that already know they have a problem and they know they need a solution. And it's one of these. They just are waiting for someone, or waiting for the right opportunity to come across to give you that opportunity. Because, and this is important, if you just are advertising something and you're just saying, hey, I'm a chiropractor, come see me because I know what it is. Because I'm awesome. That's not going to work, right? Unfortunately, if you have not ever been introduced to them, if they're not in your audience, if you're not creating regular content to market to them, the reality is they're not going to pick you. Now, having said that, the opposite way to approach it, and the way to, actually, let me back up a little bit. So let's assume that you don't have much of a marketing budget. Let's look at the different strategies. I ask my clients, or different people, they'll ask me, how much should I spend? So let's look at it this way. Depending on where you're at in your business and how much you're willing to spend and advertise, because ultimately you can do everything that I'm suggesting through simple word of mouth. It's existed forever, right? And it will continue to exist. But there's nothing better than word of mouth. 2.0. Might have to change apps. 2.0. And that is social media, right? If you do a fantastic job, there's nothing better than for them to actually share that information, word of mouth, through social media, through digital, through testimonials, through reviews on all your Yelp, your Google, your Facebook, right? But let's assume that you're on the low end and they're like, I need to get started, I need to do something, but I don't have a big budget. I usually recommend for my clients at least spend $1 a day. If you can't spend $1 a day, then should you even be in business, right? That's just my way of looking at it, because back in the old days, there was no way you would exist unless you spent some money on advertising on billboard, radio, TV, yellow pages, right? Everybody advertising the yellow pages. Now we can be in business, but you still need to be advertising and marketing your business in some way. And the cheapest way is just to do Facebook ads for at least $1 a day and promote your business. Let people know that you're out there advertising. So I suggest people spend at least $1 a day, which amounts to about $30, right? 30 to 50 is what I ask my people that are on the low end, obviously just getting started, but trying to do something. Do that. Put your offer out there to people that are still interested in this type of material. $1 will get you in front of about 100 people a day. I'm sorry, not dollars. $1 equals about 100 people a day, right? So imagine, I still did $1. Imagine trying to talk to 100 people. How much is that effort going to cost you? $1 can get you that. Okay, that's on average, because cost per CPM. That's an interesting stat that you should keep. Cost per 1,000 impressions, M equaling 1,000. That's a stat that all these advertising platforms use. Typically, it's anywhere from $10 to $20 per 1,000 impressions on the digital spaces. Same thing on Facebook. So if it's on the $10 side, you're basically spending $1 to get in front of 100. That's money well spent. Okay. So how much should you spend? Minimum $30 to $50 a month to start getting the word out there to the people that are actually interested in your service. For most of my clients that come in, I ask them to spend a minimum of $500 to start. What those $500 will allow us to do is to get the word out and to start putting offers in place and making offers to people in the market that are at the bottom of that funnel. that are ready, and they just need to get that right offer, right? That $500 will give us an idea. That amounts to a little over $10 a day. I lost my train of thought. That allows us to get in front of them, and it's about $10 a day, and that $10 times, what did I say, $10 times 1,000, you can possibly get in front of 10,000 people. Now, this is contingent on if you have a large enough market of people that are interested in your offer. Now, design, David, there's not a lot of people interested in that, so your audience may actually be a lot smaller. But the point being is now you're getting in front of maybe 2,000 people that are interested in that type of content, right? But $500 can get you that exposure. You can test different offers to see what works and see if the market's buying, if people are interested, and really start to gauge what works. And for my clients, $500 gives me a baseline at right around $10 a day. And if things are working and humming along, I then ask them to bump it to 1,000 usually, because if we're able to get leads at $10 and we're spending 500 divided by, we get 50 leads. Well, then we do the math. We double that $500, then we can, and theoretically, double the leads. But $500 gives me a great baseline to understand how much it's going to cost to generate that exposure, the leads, and the calls. Now, the other part to your content that you need to have that a lot of businesses don't have is, yeah, you need to have that offer, but even on stuff that you don't have an offer, because not everything should have you selling, right? Nobody likes somebody that's always selling. So you should have a clear call to action, whether it's liking the page, right? Whether it's sharing, or whether it's just simply engaging. But we want them to do something. So that way, that money that maybe you're not asking them to buy something, but you're asking them to kind of sign up to be a subscriber to your page, right? So having that clear call to action in all your marketing, something that they have to do, you ask them to do something, not have to do, but you ask them to do, a good portion of them will do it, right? So keep that in mind. So the answer to the question I started with, which is how much, well, depending on how much you're willing to spend, that's going to be contingent on how many new people you can afford to bring on. Theoretically, you should be spending, in this one, my chiropractor, you should be spending $1,000 a month. That's just advertising, okay? To get 10 new clients that are at $100 CPA. Minimum, if you're just getting started, spend $30 to $50. Ideally, even if it's just $1 per day, to start gauging, even just gauging an idea of what message is resonating with your market. A lot of times the people that I talk to that they say they've spent some money, maybe they threw $100 at it, but the problem is their message sucked. Their message sucked. Maybe they had no offer. And they were targeting the wrong people. They were targeting men when they should have been targeting women. It was just all over the place. So yeah, guess what? Advertising, if you don't have the right message, all it's doing is amplifying a sucky message, a sucky offer to people that are not interested. It's just amplifying that. You don't want to do that. You have to get your message right. So what this allows you to do, even if you start here, it allows you to refine that message and see what people are resonating with. What offer people are kind of like at least biting on or nibbling at. What do you need to do? Is the targeting right? This allows you to play with that. Okay? And as far as it relates to my clients, I usually ask them to spend a minimum of $500 to $1,000. Right? And this will help us generate, this is depending on the industry, generate a ton of interest, a ton of, I'm going to have to change platforms. A ton of interest and engagement. And if I have a good offer, like I have a new client who has a free consultation, he's going to crush it because in this industry, free consultations are needed. whatever your offer is going to allow us to really do well there. And for my big clients that have all these already together, we have our systems in place and we have the message in place. I mean, at that point, you can go anywhere from 3,000 to whatever, to infinity. As far as, because there's enough people in the marketplace that are interested in the message, and also there's enough people that are interested in that offer, and enough, the audience is big enough to actually, that money can really get in front of all of them and get in front of them repeatedly to convert enough of them. Something else to keep in mind, specifically as it relates to higher dollar products, and this is something I've said in previous videos, the more information you have to have on those individuals, the more private information, the more intimate the relationship has to be, and also the more money it costs, is going to take a lot of touches, a lot of content, a lot of advertising dollars to convince them. You have to convince them to trust you. Basically, what you're trying to do with all their advertising, regardless if you start at $50 or you're at $100, $500, what you're trying to do through your content is to trust you. If it's on the lower end and you can have an offer, then the risk involved, say it's a $20 haircut, the risk involved in that is very little, so they will take you up on that offer. If you're trying to sell something of high end, high dollars, selling a home, something that's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, or you're a financial analyst, financial advisor, and you're going to have to get into their personal information and their money, their banking, it's going to take a lot of money, a lot of advertising to get in front of them to convince them. Now, it can be done affordably, but it's going to take a lot of touches to convince them of such. But thus, your cost per acquisition is going to be higher, but also your client value is going to be much higher. So it should all work out in the end, as long as you're obviously keeping in mind what that cost per acquisition is, to kind of circle back around to that. How much are you willing to spend to get a new customer, client, patient, whatever you call them? That will dictate your advertising, and you can kind of look at those numbers as they start to play out to say, okay, I'm hitting my $25 cost per acquisition or cost per lead. What was it, $12 or $25? My cost per lead is $25, and I can close 1 out of 4, so it's $100 for a new client, right? So if you see that every message, every call, every lead generated is costing you more than that $25, then you need to look at your strategy, your messaging, your targeting, and all those things. Okay, that's it for today. I really appreciate you. Thank you for popping in. Those questions were fantastic. It helped me obviously start to refine my message today to ensure that I'm talking to you specifically, and that hopefully you're able to kind of get a concrete idea of what to do for your own business. My name is Teevee. I run an agency where I help small businesses locally generate more business, revenue, exposure. If you know anyone that's interested, if you are interested, feel free to hit me up, message me directly, feel free to slide into my DMs. But remember, if you're a business and you're not marketing consistently and effectively, are you really in business? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Make sure to share this if you found value in this and someone else can find value. Your colleagues, your fellow business owners, I appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.